Okay, it's Sunday. Let's play some fighting games and answer some questions. If you're wondering which side I'm on, it's Android 21, Gogeta, and Broly. Let's go. So first up, is your actual human son aware that he is in fact a cat? To be honest, I don't think that he is. Does he eat human food? No. Does he stand sometimes? Yes, very rarely, but there have been instances of this, because sometimes he'll be sat here on my desk, and there is a room on the other side of the monitors. The door is on the other side of the monitors. So if he hears a noise come from the other room while he's on the desk, he will stand on his back legs to look over the two monitors into that room. It doesn't happen often, but he does it. What does he think of giant hairless cats roaming the earth? I don't think he worries about it. What does he think of how said giant cats are super big? I feel like he probably doesn't care still. Do you care? He didn't even look at me, so I'll assume not. Next up, is there a tier list for Nano Boost targets? Not that I know of, but I just went ahead and decided to make one, which I'll put on screen now as long as future me isn't a fucking idiot. God damn it, future me. So, we have Echo in her own tier because there are too many variables to account for with Echo. Depends on the Echo, depends on who she's copied, depends on if she's copied someone at a stupid time. Too many variables. Echo is an outlier and we won't count her. S is good with basically no caveats. They are just basically always good Nano Boost targets. A is good with some exceptions. B, and then, past that you start getting, like, situational, very situational, avoid, please never, oh god, why, and then Echo. This isn't just based on their ults either. The ults obviously accounted for. For example, Moira is in B purely because of her ultimate. The rest of Moira is very bad for Nano Boost, but Coalescence is really good for Nano Boost. You'd rather do anything from A or S if you get the opportunity, but Moira's good, Moira's pretty good. And it is assuming the person knows how to play their hero well, because Sombra, if the person doesn't know how to play Sombra, is very bad. But if Sombra knows how to play Sombra, Sombra actually shreds pretty fucking hard with Nano Boost. And why is Anna in S? Because if you're playing a game of comp and Anna Nano Boosts herself, you have reason to be concerned, I would say. That's why. So there you go. But also, don't Nano Boost Winston when he's using his ultimate. Primal Rage is very bad combo with Nano Boost. I guess unless the Winston's a god, just don't do it. Very poor. Next up, how do I support a very aggro Winston? Well, if we are assuming the Winston is playing aggro sensibly, then the best thing you can probably do is pick a hero that'll make it easier for him to kill people. So that basically means Lucio or Zenyatta, because both of these people just make it way easier for him to kill people, because they're either squishier now because they have Discord Orb on them, or Winston's fast. And it's very scary when a fast giant gorilla is chasing you in general, but this one's got a fucking Tesla cannon. Is pretty fucking serious, pretty serious. If he's running at you, you're gonna be scared. If the Winston is not playing aggro well, then you're basically just gonna want to be a hero that can heal at long range. So, Anna could also be a possibility, I suppose. And that's about it, really. I guess if you're really fucking good at Baptiste, you could do it as well, but I wouldn't really recommend that one. Mercy, maybe, depending on what's going on, especially if you've got some other aggressive people around there that you can kind of ping-pong between the Winston and them. So, you got like a Pharah that you can bounce between as well. Or like a Diva, you can go like back and forth between the two of them. If you got some options for what you can do in there. maybe just in general, as long as you've got somebody on the safer side that you can reliably see, like a soldier, then you can go back and forth between the Winston relatively easily. But that's basically what you get, to be honest. So, next up, is playing Damage Sigma okay? And basically, no is going to be the summation of this. Here's the thing with Overwatch. Overwatch characters don't have multiple playstyles. They just don't. Heroes in Overwatch are designed with a very narrow range of things that they are good at, and this is an issue, depending on your perspective, I suppose. I don't really like the fact that there aren't multiple playstyles for the heroes, because you don't get a good sense of individuality from people playing the heroes, right? Like, I don't have a playstyle with Reinhardt so much as Reinhardt has a playstyle. You get what I mean? You don't get a great variety of options in this regard. There's a really good video about this from Shammy. I'll link it if I remember again. But if you type in Shammy Overwatch, you'll get the video. And it's basically comparing Overwatch to, what the fuck is the game called? Oh god, I don't know what it's called. Oh, I'm gonna have to go over and look it up. Oh no, I've forgotten what the fucking game's called. Is it Paragon? No, it's not Paragon. That's the one that got shut down. Jeez, how do I even Google this? What's the fucking free version of Overwatch? I'm just gonna have to look at the YouTube video, to be honest. I can't. Oh my god, what a disaster. This shows you how much I respect this fucking video game, doesn't it? Shammy Overwatch. Paladins! That's the one. Paragon was close. So it's a video comparing Overwatch to Paladins, and then Gigantic gets in there at the end. And basically the summation of it is Paladins is way better for player expression because the heroes in that game have multiple playstyles. Overwatch doesn't have that. Which I do think is upsetting, but I mean, we're clearly never going to get away from this, to be honest. It would require such a drastic revision of systems that it won't happen. Which is unfortunate. I think player expression is a big deal, especially in, like, hero-based games. You know, if you play a MOBA, you get a pretty wide level of player expression from all the different champions, heroes, whatever they call them. Both in playstyle and the itemization, which can in itself lead to different playstyles. Fighting games also have tremendous player expression. No two players ever play a character the same way. So, you know, it's upsetting, but no. So the short answer is no, playing Damage Sigma isn't okay because you just don't get to choose how you play a hero in Overwatch. I guess there's some exception in that, like, some flank, like, Genji's got some variance in playstyle because you can play more like a dirty scavenging vulture, or you can play like they're basically just Tracer, where you're going ham all the time. You know, you get, like, two options if you're playing Genji, really. Some Reins are suicidal. Do we want to count suicidal as being a playstyle? I don't think I want to count suicidal as being a playstyle. That seems like it's setting a bad precedent for people. Yeah, it's unfortunate, but, you know, it is how the game is. It's not about to change anytime in the near future, which I had a little bit of hope for Overwatch 2 with, like, the talent system that's getting put into that. I had a little bit of hope that, like, maybe we'd get some of them, at least, for the multiplayer, but that's probably not going to end up being the case, because, I mean, it could have been nice, you know? It could have worked out. Maybe we don't get, like, some really fucking drastic ones, like There's probably one where Bridget's like, alright, fucking send in the jetpack cat to kill everybody in the area or some shit, you know? Like, maybe nothing like that extreme, but like a couple of at least minor ones to maybe tweak it. Something like Reinhardt trades some shield health for mobility while he's moving. Pin does less damage, but makes it more maneuverable. Lowers the cooldown, lowers the damage, so you can use it to zoom around the map a little bit more. You know, stuff like that, at least. But no, this is probably not going to be what happens. But, you know, that would have been my dream situation, to at least get, like, a little bit of variance. I suppose the issue would be, like, how do you telegraph this? Because you kind of need to know what the enemy team has as their perks. So, like, the tab screen would have to get, like, way more complicated suddenly. Or they'd have to be somehow reflected on the models, which will definitely not happen. But, I mean, it won't happen, but, you know, it's nice to think about. At least it could have happened, but no, it won't. So, next up. Why do you think... No, that is how it was written. Why do you think about giving the option to ban a hero to the most solicited role? I did wonder what the fuck this meant when I saw the heading. But basically, the gist of it was, what if we gave the most in-demand role the ability to ban heroes? So, tank is generally going to be the most in need of role in the queue, so tank players got to ban a hero. To encourage people to actually play tank and support outside of, like, the tickets. Which has encouraged some people to throw games so that they can get 2 tickets. Anyway, it's I don't think that this would actually solve the problem of making people pick these less in-demand roles, because ultimately most people, like, it would change it a little bit, but, like, most people are not going to be willing to play a hero they don't really want to play so that they can ban a hero they don't want to play against. Like, it's not going to actually encourage that behavior outside of, like, maybe a couple of people. And I also don't think that... I'm not of the mind that you can put hero bans into Overwatch because of the narrow focus that heroes are designed with. Suppose, for argument's sake, there's a point in time where, like, there's only one hit scan hero, maybe 2, that are really realistically you can pick that are actually, like, viable. So... both those heroes, or one of those heroes, gets banned, and then suddenly Echo and Pharah just, like, crush, because their only their best counters have been banned. What do you do? Suppose you're playing, like, you got somebody, there's a Tracer on the enemy team that's really crushing, so you're like, alright, lads, let's pick Mccree's banned. Let's pick Bridget's banned. Well, fuck, what are we gonna do about this one now? Heroes, like, the game is too orientated around narrow use cases that, like, if you put hero bans in, you're kind of fucked, to be honest, because there are certain situations which would become completely untenable. We don't have enough overlap in heroes to make bans realistic. Because mostly, heroes do very drastically different things to each other. There's not enough overlap. We'd need way more heroes that can fulfill multiple roles. Like, suppose you queue into a game, and someone bans Reinhardt. How many games are you gonna play where somebody bans Reinhardt and your team just immediately gives up because the only main tank, quote unquote, has been banned? Right? And then there's gonna be, like, lots of situations that's like, oh, well, we're playing on Anubis and they banned Pharah, say, and Reinhardt. And then they're like, oh, there's a fucking Junkrat and a Bastion on the other team. Oh, God, I guess we fucking lost, boys. it would, like, the Overwatch community is already fucking terrible. It's, like, the worst video game community I've ever been a part of as far as, like, toxicity goes. And I play League of Legends. And fighting games. And Overwatch is worse than them. A hero ban system would make it so much worse. And heaven forbid that your tank player happened to ban a hero that someone on your team wanted to pick. God forfend, it's all over at that point, brother. So I don't think that you can do a hero ban system in Overwatch. I don't think it's possible. The design of the game does not facilitate it. And I don't think it solves the issue of making people pick these less popular roles anyway. I don't know what you do about that. I don't think there's really a fix for this. People in all video games always want to play DPS more. This is just how it is. If you play an MMO, there aren't many tank and healers around. There might not be many of, like, both or just one, depending on the game you play. Like 14 is the Final Fantasy 14 is the one I play. Whether or not there are no healers or no tanks, like, flips back and forth between expansions. But it might also just be there's neither of both. People just like playing DPS characters. And the designers know this. This is why the DPS categories are always way bigger than the other categories, which creates a self-fulfilling prophecy where there are less tanks and healers, therefore there are also less tank and healer players by extension of that. But it's just not something most players are drawn to. A lot of people are very anxious about playing tank. Like, it gives them legitimate, like, anxiety issues playing tank. They're never going to be brought over to playing tank. It just doesn't gel with them. So, like, there's nothing you do about that. Like, there's no amount of encouraging for those people, and those make up, like, a pretty sizable portion of the player base that are just afraid to play tank because it's seen as being the most, like, important role, and it also is, like, a scary thing to do. So, like, you'll never encourage many people to be into that. Playing tank requires a certain kind of player to be there. Like, not everybody's gonna do it. Same with healing. And, like, part of it is that there's not enough heroes in the multiple categories to encourage this, but, like, there's just a mindset issue that you'll never overcome as far as games go. People just like playing DPS. A lot of it also comes down to, like, with a game like Overwatch, every hero sort of encapsulates a specific fantasy, right? And I use this example all the time. There are a lot of people that have a fantasy of being a cyborg ninja. There are not that many people that have a fantasy about being a paladin. And thereby, you just have more people wanting to play Genji than you do wanting to play Reinhardt. I personally am someone that is a very big fan of paladins. I like that aesthetic. Always my favorite, like, D&D characters. People just don't really like paladins, you know? Not many people like monkeys, so they're not really drawn to being Winston. These people are, of course, objectively wrong. Monkeys are fantastic animals, but there's a lot of people don't like monkeys. What can you do? A respectable amount of people, I think, have a desire to be a robot monk, but I don't know how nicely Zenyatta encapsulates that fantasy for people, to be honest with you. But, you know, there's probably a decent amount. Zenyatta, real talk, Zenyatta has the best design, I think, as a character anyway, in the entire game. He was definitely the one I was most interested in before Overwatch actually released, because he had such a unique design. And then Overwatch, of course, came out, and it turned out that there was no story and there were no characters, so despite what the marketing team will tell you, these are not actually people. They are an embodiment of their country of origin. Anyway, Yeah. I don't know what you do to fix the issue of not many people playing tank and healer. I don't really think you can do anything, to be honest. You can nudge people towards it a little bit more, like the priority queue system will have made a little bit of a difference, but you'll never do more than nudge people a little bit in that direction. I think the best thing you can do is the thing League of Legends does, which is that you pick, there are 5 roles in League of Legends: top, middle, bottom, support, and jungle. And you pick the 2 you want. You set your primary role and you set your secondary role. There are certain roles in League of Legends that are way more popular, those being mid and bot are the 2 most popular ones. And then top is also decently popular. Jungle and support are the 2 least popular roles. So what League of Legends does is you pick the 2 you want, you set your primary, and you set your secondary. But if there is a really heavy discrepancy in one of the roles, so there's like 5 support players online right now, it will just take a few people that are queuing at random and put them into the support category to fill it out. And then once that's happened to you once, you are exempt from this system happening to you again for a set amount of games. So it's the autofill system. So if you are autofilled to support when you put mid and bot, that can't happen to you again for like, I don't know, like 5 games or something after that. And I think that's the best you can really do, is actually physically force people to play a different role. Like, you have to physically force them into these less popular roles, and then make it so that can't happen to them very frequently, so there's a cooldown where that occurs. For Overwatch, you'd probably want to set it pretty high, because Overwatch games can be pretty short. You'd probably want to go, like, if you got autofilled to tank, that can't happen to you again for, like, 10 games. And then it maybe can happen to you. You don't want it to be like the 10 games run out and then, 11th game is gonna be the game where I'm playing tank again. You don't want it to be like that heavy either, so you set like a certain amount of games where it definitely can't happen again, and then it maybe happens to you again. But I think that's the best you can do. I think League of Legends has got it figured out. You have to physically force players into this position. And does this create situations where people are gonna throw because they're forced into that position? Yeah, but people can throw anyway for all kinds of reasons. I don't think that's much of an issue. I would, however, also like to instigate, if we're going with the autofill system for Overwatch, I want there to be some kind of mercy system in here where if you get autofilled, you can ask other people in the game to switch with you. So if you got autofilled to tank, you can ask the DPS and the support players if any of them are willing to switch with you, and they'll play tank instead. This, of course, wouldn't really happen very often, but I think that you should also put this system in so that it's not like completely hopeless when you get autofilled. There's the chance that like one of the support players will go, yeah, I'll play tank, whatever, I don't mind, you know? So I think that the system needs to account for that, letting people actually change if the other person agrees. But I think that's the best you could do. I don't think you can do anything better, to be honest. So, anyway, next up. Is high ground valuable for Reinhardt in Silver and in general? In Silver, less so, because here's the thing. Reinhardt on the high ground is not for Reinhardt's benefit. It's for the benefit of the people that are on the high ground with Reinhardt. You're on Hanamura, you're on the balcony above, you got all the hit scans up there with you, you stand up there, they shoot down at everybody coming in, you jump down once they actually start contesting the point. That's how it goes. You're covering them, you know you're gonna end up jumping down, because sooner or later someone's gonna have to go down there to touch the point, and you're Reinhardt, it's gonna be you. But you stay on the high ground until that happens. High ground should, even if you're in Silver, this doesn't matter. High ground should be your default starting position when a push is beginning, because it gives you greater versatility. If you are on low ground and you need to get to high ground, you have to walk all the way up there if you're playing Reinhardt. But if you're on high ground and you need to get to the low ground, you can just jump down. It's way easier to get from high ground to low ground than low ground to high ground. So it doesn't matter where you are. High ground should be your default position, because if you need to get there, you're gonna want to be there sooner rather than later. And you can always jump down if you have to. So it should be your default position anyway, but high ground is valuable for Reinhardt because you defend the teammates around, basically. It's way harder to get to your team when there's a big beefy boy in the way holding a shield. And there's usually not much for you to be doing on the point until it starts actively getting contested, so you might as well be on the high ground where you're providing value and blocking for your teammates, whereas if you were on the point, you're not really providing value until people actually get to the point anyway. So high ground should be your default position regardless, but it will be less helpful to you in silver, but that doesn't matter. Your playstyle should be the same, where you favor high ground when possible. Some maps it doesn't really matter overly so, because the high ground isn't like a huge deal. What would be a good example of this? Like King's Row. You don't really worry about the high ground on that one, because the high ground is of such minimal benefit that you might as well just be down near the choke point ready to go instead. Route 66 for the first point, like, the high ground is good, but it's not better than contesting the choke point for Reinhardt. So you're on the high ground until they get to the choke point, and then you jump down because you provide more value blocking the choke point than you do hanging out on the ledge overlooking the street. So there you go. And next up, and this is the last question for this week, is how important is aim over positioning for Mccree? And I'll say this for all DP, all like aim heroes. Positioning is more important than aim, because the pressure that a character applies is independent of aim, really. It's mostly based on position. You can know that soldier up on the high ground is terrible, but that doesn't make you be any more inclined to be hanging out in the open just in front of that soldier's line of sight, right? That hasn't changed because you know soldier is bad. You still want to position out of that line of sight. Widowmaker the same. You can know that Widowmaker is gonna hit 1 out of like every 30 shots, but like, you still don't want to just be fucking around in her line of sight, because law of large numbers, one of those shots is gonna hit you sooner or later. So positioning is still more important than aim. Also, survival is very important. It doesn't matter if you're in, like, got God aim if you're dead. And positioning is the most important in terms of survival. So, aim is way more important, or positioning is way more important than aim. Favor positioning over aim. Aim is obviously beneficial, but you still get shit done with bad aim if your positioning is good enough to compensate for this. So, positioning. Way more important than aim, though aim is still important, but less so than positioning. And there you go, that's what we got. So, we know what the last 2 characters for Dragon Ball Fighterz are for this season. We don't know if there's going to be another season. I'm expecting them to probably be getting ready to announce Fighterz 2, to be honest. This game has made a lot of fucking money. They're probably getting ready to make another one, to be honest. But we know who the last 2 are. Remember how I was saying there was going to be a villain from GT because they put GT Goku in? And I wanted it to be Omega Shenron? It's not Omega Shenron. I was 100% right. They did pick a villain from GT because they put GT Goku in, but they chose fucking Super Baby 2. And yes, that is his name. I'm a little rusty on my GT lore, admittedly, because I saw it once when I was 13 and then never watched it again because it's... oh, Jesus Christ. But as I recall, Super Baby 2 is after Baby stole Vegeta's body and then, like, learned how to go Super Saiyan. I think that's the story. I don't know. Baby fucking sucks, okay? So I hate that they did this. Very bad. I wish they picked Omega Shenron, especially with the other one that they picked, because they showed like they showed who's coming after Super Baby, and that's gonna be fucking Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta. So it's the fucking fusion of Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta and Goku, and that fusion fought Omega Shenron. Not Super Baby 2. I think he also shows up in a movie, but I'm not 100% certain on that. So I'm glad about that, because I think that Super Saiyan 4 was easily the best design any Super Saiyan form has ever had. I think the half monkey form is a incredible aesthetic. I really like that design, so I'm glad that they're doing that. Because that was my biggest disappointment with GT Goku, was that he didn't have an install super where he just turned into Super Saiyan 4 Goku. He does, but that's just for the duration of the super. He doesn't stay in that form. So at least we got it in the end, which I'm happy about. But fucking Super Baby 2? You chose fucking Super Baby 2. Like, a group of people sat down, and they know who Omega Shenron is. A group of people sat around together at a desk and went, which villain from GT are we gonna pick, boys? And someone held up a card that said, Omega Shenron, and one that said, Super Baby 2. And everyone went, Super Baby 2 sounds like the way to go. What's the next character we're putting in? Oh, it's fucking Super Saiyan 4 or some shit? I don't know. Oh, yeah. Well, that doesn't tie into anything, so we'll just go with Super Baby 2, yeah. I'm really mad about it. I guess aesthetically, Super Baby 2 doesn't actually look that bad. He's not literally a super baby, but like... And the worst part is that, like, this character is gonna end up being, like, probably really fucking strong, because, like, it's... The way the game goes is just, like, every character is getting progressively weirder and weirder and just has more fucking shit stapled onto them, so, like, it's probably just gonna end up being really strong. And I'm gonna see fucking Super Baby 2, and I'm fucking mad about it. I'm leaving. Goodbye. Thank you all for watching. Questions, if you got them, ask them. I'm upset. I'm leaving. Goodbye.